Right now, while you're reading this, your kidneys are working. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, two fist-sized organs, tucked quietly beneath your ribs, are filtering roughly a bathtub's worth of blood every single day, pulling out waste, balancing your minerals, and deciding what stays in your body and what needs to go. And here's the unsettling part. They can lose a significant chunk of their filtering power before you ever feel a thing. There's no warning bell, no sharp pain that says pay attention to me. Instead, the signs sneak in sideways. You notice your ankles look a little puffier by dinner time, you're up twice, sometimes 3 times a night to use the bathroom. Your energy feels like it's running on a slower battery than it used to, even on days you barely lifted a finger. Your blood pressure reading at the pharmacy keeps creeping a little higher each visit. And it's easy, so easy to wave all of that off as just getting older. But what if some of that isn't age at all? What if it's your kidneys quietly asking for backup? Here's something worth sitting with. Kidney specialists will tell you the same thing over and over. Don't wait for the lab report to scare you into action. By the time a blood test flags a problem, that problem has often been quietly developing for years. The window to actually help your kidneys isn't later. It's now, tonight, at your next meal. So today, we're going to talk about 5 ordinary fruits, ones you've probably already got sitting in your kitchen or seen 100 times at the grocery store, that may genuinely support your kidneys' overnight cleanup work. They're inexpensive, they're not exotic. You don't need a specialty health store to find any of them. But here's the twist most people never hear about. It's entirely possible to eat every single one of these fruits and still get almost none of the benefit, simply because of how you're preparing or eating them. Juice one instead of eating it whole, and you may be throwing away the very fiber your kidneys benefit from. Grab the dried version loaded with added sugar, and you may be handing your kidneys more work, not less. Peel away the skin without a second thought, and you might be tossing the most valuable part straight into the trash. Stick with me through all 5, especially the last one, because it's the fruit everyone thinks they already understand, and almost nobody eats correctly. Fruit number 5, blueberries. Let's start small, literally. Blueberries barely register as a big food, yet for anyone thinking seriously about kidney health, blood pressure, or blood sugar balance, they punch well above their tiny size. Here's the first reason blueberries deserve a spot on your plate. They're naturally gentle on the 3 minerals that tend to concern people with kidney issues most: sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. When kidney function starts to slip even slightly, your body's ability to keep these minerals in balance can wobble too. So reaching for a fruit that doesn't pile extra mineral burden onto an already taxed filtering system is a smart, low-effort move. But the real headline ingredient in blueberries is their deep, almost inky color, which comes from plant pigments called anthocyanins. These compounds have been studied for their role in calming oxidative stress and supporting healthier blood vessels throughout the body. And here's why that circles back to your kidneys specifically. Picture your kidneys as an intricate, delicate mesh of blood vessels, almost like a lace filter woven from thousands of tiny capillaries. When blood pressure runs high for years, that mesh takes a beating, stretching, thickening, losing some of its fine filtering precision. Anything that helps protect blood vessel health is indirectly protecting that lace filter too. There's also a lesser-known connection between blueberries and urinary tract comfort. Some of their natural compounds appear to make it harder for certain bacteria to cling to the lining of the urinary tract. That matters more than people realize for older adults, because a urinary tract infection isn't just uncomfortable, it can leave you feeling drained and can add extra strain onto kidneys that are already managing enough. Now here's where most people quietly sabotage themselves. The way you buy and prepare blueberries changes everything. Reach for berries that are a rich, deep blue purpose, ideally with a faint natural dusty coating on the skin that's actually a good sign of freshness, not dirt. Skip anything pale, greenish, or starting to look wrinkled and soft, and please, don't skip the wash. If you're not buying organic, give them a proper rinse, or better yet, a quick soak in water with a pinch of baking soda before rinsing again. That extra 30 seconds keeps pesticide residue from becoming one more thing your body has to process and filter out. Keep them simple. A small handful stirred into your morning oatmeal or eaten plain as an afternoon snack does far more for you than a blueberry muffin or a sugary blueberry compote ever could. Fruit number 4, apples. You've heard the old saying about an apple keeping trouble away. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but when we look closer at what an apple actually offers, especially for someone paying attention to kidney health, the saying holds up surprisingly well. Apples share that same gentle mineral profile we just talked about with blueberries, relatively low in sodium, potassium, and phosphorus, which is part of why they're so often recommended as a kidney-friendly go-to. But the real star of the apple isn't its mild sweetness. It's the fiber, specifically a type called pectin. Pectin behaves almost like an internal broom, sweeping gently through your digestive system, helping regulate blood sugar response and supporting a healthier gut environment overall. You might wonder what any of that has to do with your kidneys. Quite a lot, actually. Conditions like diabetes, excess weight, and high blood pressure are three of the biggest long-term stressors on kidney tissue. Anything that helps keep those three factors in a healthier range is, whether directly or indirectly, giving your kidneys an easier job. Apples also bring along a trio of antioxidant compounds, including quercetin, which has drawn attention specifically for its potential role in supporting healthy blood pressure. And as we keep circling back to, stable blood pressure might be the single most protective gift you can give those delicate filtering vessels inside your kidneys. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes without realizing it: peeling the apple. That thin skin is where a huge portion of the fiber and antioxidant content actually lives. Peel it away, and you're left with a milder, less beneficial version of the fruit. The fix is simple: wash the apple thoroughly, or buy organic when your budget allows, and eat it skin and all. As for dried apples and bottled apple juice, treat both with caution. Drying concentrates the natural sugars while stripping away much of the vitamin C, and many packaged versions add extra sugar on top of that. Juice, even the 100% juice kind, usually has the fiber removed entirely, meaning you get a fast sugar hit without the slow, steady digestive benefits of the whole fruit. When you're shopping, look for apples that feel firm and heavy for their size, with tight, unblemished skin. If the little stem is still attached, that's often a sign the apple hasn't been sitting around too long. Fruit number 3. Cranberries. Small, tart, and deeply red. Cranberries have built a long-standing reputation around one particular area of health, the urinary tract, and there's real substance behind that reputation. Like the two fruits before them, cranberries are naturally light on sodium, potassium, and phosphorus, making them a reasonably gentle choice for anyone watching those numbers closely. But their real claim to fame comes from an impressive lineup of antioxidant compounds, vitamin C, various flavonoids, and a group of substances called proanthocyanidins, often shortened to PACs. These particular compounds have been studied for their apparent ability to interfere with bacteria trying to latch onto the walls of the urinary tract. When bacteria can't get a solid grip, they're far less likely to multiply into a full-blown infection. That matters a great deal for older adults, since a urinary tract infection can trigger burning discomfort, restless nighttime bathroom trips, exhaustion, and in more serious cases, complications that ripple outward to affect the kidneys themselves. But let's be very clear about something important here, because this is where a lot of health content overpromises. Cranberries may help lower the odds of developing a urinary tract infection in the first place. They are not a treatment for one that's already underway. If you're experiencing burning during urination, fever, back pain, cloudy or strange-smelling urine, or any blood in your urine that calls for a doctor's visit, not a bowl of cranberries. This is also exactly where people get led astray by marketing. Bottled cranberry juice sounds like the obvious solution: grab a jug, sip it daily. Problem solved. Except most commercial cranberry juices are loaded with added sugar to mask the fruit's natural tartness. Drinking that daily might do more harm than good for your blood sugar and your weight over time, which again, circles back to putting extra strain on your kidneys. The smarter route is fresh or frozen cranberries, used in modest amounts, stirred into oatmeal, tossed into a salad, or blended into an unsweetened smoothie. Look for berries that feel firm, plump, and have that deep, glossy red color, generally a sign of good ripeness and a stronger antioxidant profile. Dried cranberries can work in a pinch, but check the label. Many brands sweeten them heavily to offset the natural sourness, and eating them like candy, especially in the evening, adds up to more sugar than most people realize. Fruit number 2. Grapes. Sweet, juicy, and endlessly snackable. Grapes are one of those fruits that almost feel like cheating because they taste so good while still offering real nutritional value. Part of their benefit comes down to something refreshingly simple: water content. Grapes are mostly water, and staying properly hydrated gives your kidneys better working conditions to filter blood efficiently and produce urine the way they're designed to. That said, and this is important, if your doctor has ever told you to limit fluids because of kidney disease, heart failure, or swelling issues, don't suddenly start eating large bowls of water-rich fruit without checking in first. Even something healthy needs the right portion size for your specific situation. Grapes also bring resveratrol to the table, an antioxidant that shows up more abundantly in the skins of darker grapes. Think deep red, purple, and near black varieties. Alongside resveratrol, grapes carry a whole supporting cast of protective plant compounds, flavonoids, catechins, and more anthocyanins, all of which have been studied for their potential to shield cells from the kind of damage linked to chronic inflammation. Now for the honest part, grapes are dangerously easy to overeat. You sit down with a bowl in front of the television, and somehow the whole bunch disappears before the show ends. For anyone managing blood sugar, that mindless grazing habit can undo a lot of the fruit's benefit. And raisins aren't a fair substitute for fresh grapes. Drying removes the water and concentrates the natural sugar, making it even easier to eat far more than you intended in one sitting. Grape jelly, jam, and bottled grape juice fall into that same sugar-concentrated trap. One more thing worth mentioning. Wash your grapes thoroughly or buy organic when it's within budget. Grapes have a lot of surface area, clustered tightly together, which makes them easy to under-rinse. A quick soak followed by a good rinse under running water goes a long way. When shopping, look for grapes that are firm, plump, and still attached to green, flexible stems, since grapes don't continue ripening much after they're picked. With grapes, the golden rule is simple: fresh over dried and a small handful over an entire bunch. Fruit number 1, watermelon. And now we arrive at the fruit almost everyone thinks they already understand. The one people reach for on a hot afternoon without ever considering what it might be doing for their kidneys behind the scenes. Watermelon's most obvious trait is right there in its name. Water, a generous slice, delivers gentle, steady hydration, which supports healthy urine production and gives your kidneys an easier environment in which to do their filtering work. This becomes especially relevant for older adults, since the body's natural thirst signal tends to weaken with age. Plenty of seniors go through an entire day sipping far less water than they need, without ever consciously noticing they're running low. A water-rich fruit like watermelon can quietly help close that gap. As always, though, if you've been told to restrict fluid or potassium intake, check with your doctor before making watermelon a regular habit. Watermelon also happens to be relatively low in oxalates, compounds that are linked to certain types of kidney stones. For people who've been advised to watch their oxalate intake, that makes watermelon a gentler choice compared to a number of other popular fruits and vegetables. Then there's the color. That vivid red flesh comes from lycopene, the same antioxidant famous for showing up in tomatoes, and it's been studied for its potential role in fighting oxidative stress and inflammation, two of the usual suspects behind long-term cellular damage. Here's the detail: almost nobody talks about watermelon also contains an amino acid called citrulline. Your body can convert citrulline into arginine, which in turn supports the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and open up. Relaxed, healthy blood vessels mean smoother, steadier blood flow in your kidneys. Remember that intricate mesh of tiny vessels we talked about earlier absolutely depend on consistent, unobstructed blood flow to do their job well. So watermelon isn't just a cold, sweet way to cool off in summer. Used thoughtfully, it can genuinely support blood pressure, circulation, and by extension, kidney function. But here's the classic mistake: overdoing it, especially at night. Because watermelon is so water-heavy, a large, late evening portion is a near guarantee for multiple bathroom trips interrupting your sleep. And for anyone managing blood sugar, a big bowl of watermelon in one sitting can send glucose levels on a ride you'd rather avoid. The fix is simple: keep portions moderate. Choose watermelons that feel heavy for their size with a creamy yellow patch on the underside. That's usually a reliable sign it ripened properly in the field. And here's a detail that surprises people: always wash the outer rind before you cut into it. Your knife travels straight from that outer surface into the flesh you're about to eat, so any dirt or residue sitting on the rind can hitch a ride into your bowl. A quick rinse under running water before slicing takes care of that in seconds. A few everyday habits that multiply the benefit. Before we wrap up, it's worth mentioning that these 5 fruits work even better when they're not fighting against other habits working in the opposite direction. Sodium is probably the biggest silent saboteur. You can eat a perfect bowl of blueberries every morning, but if the rest of your day is loaded with canned soups, deli meats, and salty snacks, you're asking your kidneys to manage a mineral tug-of-war they can't easily win. Reading labels, even just glancing at the sodium line before tossing something in your cart, is a small habit that compounds over months and years. Timing matters too, more than people expect. Eating any of these fruits earlier in the day or early evening rather than right before bed tends to work better for 2 reasons. First, it gives your digestive system time to process everything before you lie down, which many people find supports more restful sleep. Second, it avoids that late-night bathroom trip cycle we talked about with watermelon, which can apply to any water-rich fruit eaten too close to bedtime. Hydration outside of fruit matters as well. Fruit can help supplement your fluid intake, but it isn't a replacement for actually drinking water throughout the day. A good habit many older adults find helpful is keeping a glass or a small bottle of water within easy reach, on a nightstand, a kitchen counter, wherever you naturally spend time, as a visual reminder to sip regularly rather than waiting until you feel thirsty, since that thirst signal, as we mentioned earlier, tends to weaken with age. And finally, movement, even light movement, supports the same blood vessels we've been talking about throughout this entire video. A short walk after a meal, some gentle stretching, or simply standing up and moving around every hour instead of sitting for long stretches all support healthier circulation, which in turn supports the steady blood flow your kidneys depend on to filter efficiently. None of these additional habits require a dramatic lifestyle overhaul. They're small adjustments that, layered on top of choosing the right fruits and preparing them properly, create a genuinely supportive environment for your kidneys to keep doing their quiet, essential work night after night. Bringing it all together. So there you have it, 5 everyday fruits: blueberries, apples, cranberries, grapes, and watermelon that may lend real support to your kidneys' overnight filtering process. What ties them together isn't magic. It's a shared set of traits: naturally lower mineral load, a strong antioxidant profile, support for healthy blood vessels, gentle hydration, and a track record of helping the body manage inflammation. But please hear this clearly, because it matters more than any single fact in this video. Healthy doesn't mean unlimited. If you're living with chronic kidney disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart failure, fluid retention, or you're taking prescription medications, please have a conversation with your doctor or a registered dietitian before making any of these fruits a daily habit. Kidney health is deeply individual. What supports one person's body might need careful adjustment for someone else's, and fruit on its own was never meant to carry the whole weight of kidney health by itself. It works best as one piece of a bigger picture alongside a good variety of vegetables, healthier fats, less sodium, fewer heavily processed foods, cutting back on sugary drinks, getting real rest, and moving your body in ways that feel safe and sustainable for you. Above everything else, please don't wait for a loud, obvious symptom before you start paying attention. If you've been feeling unusually tired, if your feet or ankles seem puffier than they used to be, if nighttime bathroom trips have become the norm rather than the exception, or if your blood pressure numbers keep drifting upward, that's worth a conversation with your doctor sooner rather than later. Catching something early has always been easier, gentler, and far less stressful than dealing with it after it's had years to build. Before we close things out, I'd genuinely love to know, out of these 5 fruits we covered today, blueberries, apples, cranberries, grapes, or watermelon, which one already shows up in your kitchen the most? And more importantly, what's one small change you're willing to try tonight? Are you going to keep reaching for the same habits out of pure routine, or are you ready to start choosing these fruits a little more intentionally, one evening at a time? I want to leave you with something important. None of these 5 fruits are a miracle cure. None of them will undo years of strain overnight, and nothing in this video should replace a real conversation with your doctor. But when you choose them wisely, prepare them the right way, and keep your portions sensible, they can genuinely become a simple, steady part of caring for your body as you age. They may ease some of the daily burden on your kidneys. They may support the quiet, tireless filtering work happening inside you every single night while you sleep. Because here's the truth about kidney health that rarely gets said out loud. It's almost never one dramatic mistake that causes lasting damage. It's the slow accumulation of small habits, repeated night after night, year after year. An extra sweet glass of juice reached for out of convenience. A handful of dried fruit eaten without a second thought. An apple peeled and its best part discarded. A bunch of grapes devoured without ever rinsing them first. And the encouraging flip side of that truth is this: real change can also begin with small, ordinary choices. One whole apple, washed properly. A modest handful of fresh blueberries. A few cool slices of watermelon eaten earlier in the evening instead of right before bed. One pause before reaching for a bottle of juice, just long enough to ask yourself whether it's actually serving your body. If you're managing kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart failure, fluid retention, or you're on medication, or if a doctor has ever mentioned watching your creatinine, your eGFR, or your potassium levels, please talk to your physician or a qualified dietitian before adjusting your eating habits. Everybody's body carries a different story, and what helps one person may require real caution for someone else. Taking care of yourself the right way was never about hearing a piece of advice online and rushing to follow it blindly. It's about paying attention to your own body, noticing how it responds to different choices, and knowing when it's time to bring in professional guidance. My hope for you today isn't fear, it's simply awareness. Awareness so that tiredness, swelling, or restless nights don't get quietly dismissed as just getting older. Awareness that your kidneys tend to stay silent for a long time before they finally raise their voice. An awareness that the best time to start being gentler with your body was years ago, and the second best time is tonight. You don't need to overhaul your entire life starting tomorrow morning. You simply need one better choice at your very next meal. A whole fruit instead of a sweetened juice, a sensible portion instead of a heaping bowl, a few extra minutes to read a nutrition label, or finally scheduling that checkup you've been putting off. Growing older was never supposed to mean growing weaker by default. Your body is still listening. It's still doing everything it can to keep up with you, still working quietly on your behalf even while you're fast asleep, and your kidneys are right there doing the same thing, faithfully, without ever complaining. So treat them kindly. If today's video gave you something worth holding on to, give it a like and pass it along to someone in your life who might need to hear this too. And if you'd like more simple, practical nutrition guidance built specifically for life after 50 and 60, go ahead and subscribe to Senior Food Coach for more. Before you head off, drop a comment and let me know, out of the 5 fruits we walked through today, which one are you going to work into your meals first? Blueberries, apples, cranberries, grapes, or watermelon? There's no rush, and there's no need to be perfect about it. Just start with one better meal, one gentler habit, one kinder decision, for your kidneys, for your heart, and for the body that has carried you faithfully through all these years. Wishing you a calm, healthy, and energized day ahead. And as always, take a slow, deep breath. My friend,